I had never seen Wicked, so I watched that and Wicked for Good back to back yesterday. Now, I do honestly think this is probably the best way you can experience these movies because sometimes with these two-part movies, the first one will really stand on its own, but sometimes it really does feel like half a movie, and I think that was the case for Wicked, which is why I'm glad that I went right from watching it at home, drove to the theater, and then the movie started about I got there right in time for trailers. And I did have a little bit of familiarity with Wicked going in. Obviously, I'm very familiar with the songs. I was actually a theater major for a while, so I had a lot of friends who were very vocal about liking the Broadway play. So I kind of did get to experience it like that Broadway play where I watched the first half, had an intermission that was probably honestly about a little over 30 minutes, and then I watched the second half. And I do agree that while a lot of the songs in that first half were a lot stronger, I do think the second half also had some pretty good songs. There's some stuff I do like about the movie, notably the characters of Elphaba and Fiyero, as well as the performances by those actors Cynthia Erivo and Jonathan Bailey, as well as the performance of The Wizard of Oz by Jeff Goldblum. And I'm always an easy sell for Jeff Goldblum. So, light spoilers here, but the first half essentially works as a prequel to The Wizard of Oz, where the second half is kind of what's going on behind the scenes while The Wizard of Oz is happening. Obviously, this is a film based on a Broadway play, based on a book that was a fan fiction essentially, that was based on a different film that was based on a different book. So, with that, I think it has gotten really distilled and honestly suffers from a lot of fan fiction-y problems. And I'm not knocking fan fiction. I wrote fan fiction back in the day, but I think that another way you could describe it is almost like the Skywalker problems that happened with the prequels and sequels, how everything that happens in the galaxy is all surrounding this one family. In this case, it's one family or one group of college friends are essentially everything that happened in The Wizard of Oz was all just around them. Of course, you have the Wicked Witch of the West and the Witch of the East, but then, as you know, the main premise of the movie is that the Wicked Witch of the West was also best friends, sort of frenemies for a little bit, with the good witch Glinda, but then also Glinda was dating the Scarecrow, who was also in love with the Wicked Witch of the East, and then the Tin Man was in love with the or with the Good Witch, but he ends up dating the Wicked Witch of the East, so the sister, and it's just this convoluted, messy thing where it's like, why do we have to tie all these backstories together? Even the Cowardly Lion gets shoehorned in. And for a movie that is so fanficky, that is obsessed with tying all the big characters and events and iconography like the Yellow Brick Road all together in a way that feels, in my opinion, very convoluted and not very well written, it is allergic to Dorothy. I get why, but the level to which they're like, Dorothy was just here, but she went that way. Don't worry about her. Or here's Dorothy over here. There is so much of that going on where she's just obscured and off to the side. You never at once see more than just her back or her shadow or anything. It's embarrassed that it has to deal with Dorothy, or the fact, or at best maybe completely uninterested in that, which once again is so odd given how in depth they are with every other main character from The Wizard of Oz. But that was just the creative decision they made. Like I said, some banger songs. I do like the ending of this movie actually, but overall, these two didn't really work for me. Hopefully, I didn't piss off you musical theater nerds too much. I've been one of you guys in the past. In a lot of ways, I still am. But unfortunately, this one was just not for me. But hey, it's still made a bazillion dollars. It's probably going to get nominated for a bunch of Oscars again. And you know what? Good work if you can get it. I've been Derek McDuff. Thank you for listening. You can also hear me on my podcast, Underrated, by going to underratedmoviepodcast.com or listening on any of the podcast apps.